Okay, well, with that, I will get started with the next presentation, the weather report. Okay, so uh, the Zen Project Weather Report was always a talk that Lars Korth would give, looking back over the previous year since the last summit, talking about the ongoing things in the project so everyone can kind of see the other things that are going on and looking a little bit forward in the future. So obviously one of the very sad things that's happened in the last year is that we lost Lars Kurth. So Lars Kurth passed away suddenly in January. Um, there was no real indication that there was any problem, and just sort of he suddenly passed away. Lars Kurth has been, if you're not familiar with him, he's been our community manager. He was a community manager from 2011 until 2020 when he passed away, and he the state of the current Zen project is really almost entirely his doing. So he came up with a governance project that made it very clear how you can anyone in the community can gain influence over the project. He was oversaw its movement into the Linux Foundation. He wrote up he wrote the code of conduct and a number of different things like that. And he's been very good about promoting the project, about running things, about smoothing over differences, about bringing more people in, and so on. He's a very, very talented individual and just a really great guy to be around. And we'll miss him professionally, and we'll also miss him personally. We had hoped to have maybe kind of a eulogy session or some kind of a memorial thing at the Zen Summit in person in Bucharest. Not sure that would work great over in a virtual event. So maybe the next time we see each other in like in person either later this year or probably next year, we can have something like that. In the meantime, I have picked up the mantle. So I've been acting community manager and chairman of the advisory board since January. So a lot of really good stuff has happened in the last year. I think it's really easy for me particularly, as you're going kind of day to day to day, things move really, really slowly. And it's easy to kind of overlook how much has actually been accomplished as a whole community in the last year. So we've had two releases, Zen 4.13, Zen 4.14. We've got core scheduling, Spectre V1 branch hardening, opte support, DOM zero support, hypervisor FS, Linux subdomains, Lightweight VM4, Viridian support, Argo interdomain communication, lots of really good stuff going on. Inside the embedded world, the functional safety SIG is continuing to make progress. So I'm told that someone has had a detailed report. Oh, yes. Oh, I think so. Roger says Argo was in 4.13, if I recall correctly. It looked like it was checked in January, but anyway, it's there now. That's the point. It happened in the last year. So the Mr. C, there's a detailed report that has been completed, and I guess is going to be presented here at the summit. We have, so one of the key things for the functional safety is that you have to have these specifications written in a very specific style of what it is that Zen is supposed to do. And then you have to have the specification, then you have to have a way of proving that Zen meets that specification. And so we have a number of prototype safety specifications that have been made about basically the different sets of interfaces in Zen. And they've been checked into a repository, and they're actively working on answering questions about where they're going to be stored, who is going to write them, who is going to update them, how are we going to make sure that they keep in sync, and so on. But that's really, things are moving forward. Zen is now a part of ARM's automotive reference stack based on Yocto. I'm told that Zen is making inroads as a result of particularly as a result of the DOM zero lists into a number of truly embedded environments. And there's a number of people using some out-of-tree cache cloning patches to enable systems that need really hard real-time systems. And the cache cloning patches are going to be coming into the tree soon. So lots of really good stuff there. The community call is continuing to go well. We have the code of conduct and the communication guide, which is in the last work that. When you're done, just. Sorry. That was Siri interrupting me. So the the code of conduct and the communication guide was one of the last things that Laura's Kurth authored. Technically, the voting for that ended on March 31st. I haven't had the time to go through and check the boxes to say this is passed, but there have been no objections. There have been a number of supports, and so I'm pretty sure that that will have been passed. So that would be really good. XAPNG has been officially made a Zen project subproject. The unit kernel is continuing to make progress, and there is a secret new subproject in the works that was originally, we were intending to announce it before the first Zen Summit, the original Zen Summit in Bucharest. And then again, we were planning it to announce it before this Zen Summit. But it had to be delayed for various reasons. So watch this space. We have a new subproject that is coming up. So we have lots of things going on in our community. Technical things that are going on, secret free Zen. And this is, if you're not familiar with this, the idea here is that we stop Zen from mapping. We get everything out of Zen except just Zen, so that when a given virtual CPU is running, even if it can use whatever Spectre V1 gadgets or whatever Spectre style attacks against Zen, even if it can read all of Zen's memory, all that is mapped is Zen's own code and memory specific to that vCPU. So that is a thing that should be easier in Zen than other systems, and should make it so that that mitigates a significant amount any future Spectre style attacks. So that's ongoing and in progress. We have migration without guest cooperation. We have continuing improvements to PVH, QEMU core scheduling, and so on. And as I said, in the embedded world, we've got cache coloring. Technical things further on the horizon. There's been a lot of, on the ARM side, there's been a lot of motions talking about VirtIO for Zen. So the embedded people really like standards, and VirtIO is a standard that they've kind of latched onto. So I expect a lot of those, and Zen has been very successful in the embedded world, and so I expect that some of those people will be making inroads into making VirtIO available in Zen. We have a RISC-V port of Zen, which is in progress. The patches have been posted to the list. Obviously, it's very early days, but that will be a really exciting thing in the future. Community-wise, things on the horizon. You guys have probably seen there's been a lot of, partly as a result of the demonstrations and things like that, mostly in America, but also other places. So there's a renewed interest in certain namings of things. So things like master slave, blacklist, whitelist, probably going to be looking at replacing with other options. This is kind of, reading the weather, this is the kind of thing where the whole industry is going to be moving towards. So we're going to be looking at this in the future. Another thing that we're discussing is refactoring somewhat the hypervisor leadership team, somewhat how this is done. So right at the moment, basically, we have the rest, which means you get CC'd on, you are the de facto maintainer for everything that doesn't have a maintainer, right? So we have the rest, and we have committers who are able to check things into Zen.get, and we have the leadership team who are officially make decisions for the hypervisor subproject part of the subproject. And right now, those are all exactly the same. And this has kind of caused, a few problems. Some people are interested in changing this. So we're going to be having a discussion probably a bit later about potentially for changing this. Okay, well, those are a lot of the things that we have come up in the past and things coming up in the future. So with that, I will say enjoy the summit. We have a lot of great design discussions. Register yourself with the design session with the design session thing. Make your votes, and anything that you think you want to talk about or have a chat about, register your design session there. And with that, yeah, I'll call it a day.